faculty member, and you know what? They're never there. I can't get a hold of them, okay? All right, I was like, okay, let's see if I can solve this. I'm trying to be a problem solver. So you know what I do? I go to the faculty member or to the chair and say, here, we've got this situation. And before I even open my mouth, and he goes, I know it's advising time and registration. You know, it's kind of amazing. I've been sitting in my office. You know what? I haven't had a single call from advising. I'm like, you won't believe this, but I was just told from advising that they call you and you're never here, you don't respond. What you're saying is you never get contacted, so you can't respond. So I'm saying, so believe it, maybe that only happens in my college, I don't know. So how do I assure that? I have to talk with people in student services and people in academic affairs. So what I do is bring the people to the table and say, hey, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but here's what I heard. Eddie's his name. Eddie told me, he's referring, because we're working like heck to get these students through. We want them advised. They're coming in. They're rolling. Johnny says, well, he's never hearing from Eddie. Well, what I did find out is Eddie never talked to Johnny. So I brought him around the table and say, what's up? Let's put the model together. Where's the chink in the armor? What's up? Because, in my opinion, Jenny, I've built a relationship with my friends and colleagues in student services. I trust them, they trust me. They know they can talk to me. It's not all about academics, it's about the student. Because I frame everything, and people get so tired of this. Well, what's best for the student? What's best for the student? I don't have an agenda that, well, okay, let's not have them go through this. They have to come right into academic affairs. They have to go right to the program. No. I ask the question of the people around the table, what's best for the student? Well, this would be best for the student. Well, then we have to communicate. I have to assure communication. So now all we do is follow up. Remember our problem from 6 months ago? How's it going? Is it still happening? So I do that just as a reminder to people and bring the people together. Is it working? Is it not working? Sometimes we just don't talk. That went on and on and on. And the one good thing, though, is that Eddie, our lead advisor, who I don't supervise, he's in another department, a whole different area, was quite, I'm going to say, comfortable in approaching me with the issue. I would hope, wherever I land, that I create that culture that anybody can come up and say, hey, Bruce, we've got an issue. Let's try to solve this. So I hope we can do it up front. And that's how I hopefully assure that communication. Thank you. Good question.
Did you have another question?
Spin off of the last question is, so on the faculty side, you have people who say, well, I don't know how to advise, or I don't even want to advise. How do you deal with that?
I understand you don't know how to advise. It is our obligation, our responsibility, my obligation to provide training. Okay? I'm not throwing anybody to the wolves if they don't know how. As an institution, if the advising model includes faculty advising, well, then we have to equip them with tools. A real-world example going on right now, we have, and I mentioned Eddie, who is our lead advisor, has put together in conjunction with some department chairs, Advising 101 for Coastal Bend College. Right there it is. I don't know how to do it. Okay. We're going to do you and give you the tools to do it. Okay? Now, I will address, well, I'm a faculty member, but I sure as heck ain't going to, I don't want to, you can't make me. Okay? Well, first of all, and I'm not totally familiar with the job description here for faculty. At Coastal Bend College, in the job description, it says faculty advising of students. Here it is. This is what you're supposed to do. Okay? And let me ask you this. What's best for the students? Mr., Ms. Faculty, I want them coming to you. Well, I want them to come to me. I'll straighten them out. Okay, That's advising. That's what we want you to do. It's your responsibility. Now, it's my responsibility to help give you the tools to do it properly and to communicate. But there it is. It's one of your responsibilities, one of your duties, and that is what's best for the students. Don't you agree? I want them talking to you. We need you with your expertise. You don't want a student talking to me. I don't know anything about your discipline. We want them visiting with you. So that's the response. I've lived that response, as you can tell. I've almost got that memorized and down. But because it's awfully easy to say, hey, we're going to put a faculty advising model together. But the great question is, well, you got to equip them. You have to equip them to do it. And that is critical. And we have to take the time and energy to do it.
Hi, Bruce. Along the same lines, one of the struggles I think we've had with advising here is whether it be mandatory or not. And one of the arguments against mandatory advising is that we have a lot of students who are online, and so it's hard to implement that. So consequently, we don't have mandatory advising for students. And I think some of the issues that we have are when students self-advise, and then they have complications from that down the road. So if you could just tell us your thoughts on mandatory advising, maybe some ideas on how you would go about making it work for students and faculty and student services.
Mandatory advising for the first 15 credit hours. Mandatory advising for anybody that has not completed the developmental education series. Okay, so there's the mandatory part, in my opinion. Because if we put together a proper advising model, I'm on record as saying I understand that a student can self-advise, but I really believe that self-advising with a model with faculty engagement, I'm convinced that those students will seek out and go to that faculty person and say, what should I take? I need some help. I need advising. Because part of the advising model is it has to be more overt. Students have to understand, hey, you can go to the faculty member for advising. It has to be this overt kind of thing. I can't imagine, maybe I can, if you look at the nursing model, the nursing curriculum, it's like, well, I guess they call it mandatory, but you are so engaged in that nursing curriculum, are you not, that student's going, oh, I need to go talk. I got to make sure I'm getting enrolled. This is right. We need to have that mentality and that cultural shift to every student. Are there some that's going to self-advise? Yeah. Because really, from a resource standpoint, if I said, and I'm not saying this, mandatory advising, mandatory registration through a faculty or student services counselor until they complete their degree, I don't know if we could honestly manage that anyway. And truly, as you get through that first 15 hours and you get that engagement with faculty, my submission to you is that self-advising turns into, hey, a much more higher comfort level of talking with the faculty member. And it almost becomes mandatory. Students just don't know it. Because I think a lot of them kind of push back. Ooh, I don't like this mandatory thing. Okay? I think in a perfect world, we say we should advise them every time. That's the perfect world. It really is. But as an institution grows to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 students, whew. But I think an advising model in which we were talking about solves some of that. It ain't perfect, but it's working together. I think there is a place for mandatory up front and a place for the developmental education series if that's not completed. If you want to make that strong statement, mandatory, I would go with that.
What about the online students are taking the first class, but it's online, you register online in some other town?
You can still communicate with faculty, email, phone call, Skype, GoToMeeting. So I wouldn't use that as a special circumstance, because I would submit to you, I'm an online student. I still need some guidance, some help, some advising, some counseling, because they're not being dropped off at the front door, but in a virtual world, they're sitting at home going, I need help. What do I do? So the mandatory, in my opinion, still works. It's like, oh, flag goes up, I need help. Now you have to set up the advisement. Here's who you contact. Boom, right here. There has to be that initial contact at the college. I could see a day where you might lose some students, but I would submit that self-advising right off the bat could become disastrous. And the same with an online student, or they're standing right here. Because to me, contact, because in my estimation, if a student is sitting on our front door, remember my little model here where he or she progresses through, and say, oh, we need to contact faculty. Well, if that faculty member is not in the office, we still got email, voicemail, notes, and you follow up on that. So that is still contact with the faculty, and with proper training and the tools and the right attitude on advising, the faculty member is like, oh, got the text. Oh, I got a new student. I need to get back. I need to respond. I need to get together somehow, and it could be virtually, could be synchronous through a phone call, asynchronous through email. That's okay. That's still advising. I'm still getting help. Oh, did we cover it all? Is that it, Ms. Moderator?
I believe that it is.
Well, if
Unless you
that's...
have some questions you'd like to ask of us.
Oh, well, sure, but then no one will answer them. No, I'm just kidding. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I think you know me a little bit better than you did when you walked in, whether this is your first forum with me, second, third. Oh my gosh. You're a strong man. You've got a lot of good things going on at this institution. I feel it. I sense it. I hope I'm your next Vice President of Academic Affairs. And if not, no hard feelings, because you've got a lot of good things going on here. And at the conclusion of this, feel free to stick around. I'm just hanging out because it's not tour time yet. My hostess, the hostess with the mostest here, has driven me all over Wyoming today. But feel free to come up and chat if you would like informally, because I guess the official part is over, Miss Monterey. Chatty time. And if it's your third forum, get the heck out of here. That's been a pleasure. Thanks so much. Thanks.